Welcome everybody along to the October Council meeting. I'll open the meeting with a prayer. Almighty God, be with us as we work for the people of the Shire of Moorabool. Grant us wisdom we may care for the Shire of true stewards of your creation. May be aware of the great responsibilities placed upon us. Help us to be just in all our dealings, and may our work prosper for the good of all. Amen. I would now like to read out the Acknowledgement of Country. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we are meeting. I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and any Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today. In accordance with Council's meeting procedure local law, this Council will be recorded, and the organisation also granted permission to make audio recordings of the Moorabool News and the Star Weekly. There's one Councillor Minari is an apology, so just please note that, is unable to connect tonight. Item 6, confirmation of minutes, the ordinary meeting of the 7th of September. Move Councillor Dudzik, seconder, Councillor Berry. Put that all those in favour, it's carried, thank you. Item 7, Council, any disclosure of conflict of interest on the items on the agenda tonight? Officers? Okay, thank you. Item 8, public question time. We have 4 questions. They're all just come in writing. There's no one going to be in the gallery? No, okay. We have 2 questions from Mr John Kowalski and 2 from Mr Stephen Kelly. The first one from Mr Kowalski, I'll defer to Mr Jeffrey to read the question and also the submission response, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So the first question is, as per the 2020 Road Safety Audit recommendation for Mill Park, has Council now submitted to Vic Roads a submission to lower the speed limit in Blackwood Road/Simpson Street, Balan? And the response is yes, the submission to lower the speed limit was submitted to Department of Transport on 4th of August 2022. And question 2 from Mr Kowalski is,
thank you.
As is best practice as advised by Vic Roads, does Council intend to complete the project manager input into the table in section 6 of the 2020 Road Safety Audit for Mill Park, Balan? And the response is yes, Council is in the process of completing the Road Safety Audit section 6 table in conjunction with implementing the works on the ground.
Thank you, Mr Jeffrey, and that response will be forwarded through to Mr Kowalski.
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. The next petitioner or question is from Mr Stephen Kelly. As I said, he has 2. The question is directed to Mr Henry Bessenhout. Mr Bessenhout, please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr Mayor. There's 2 questions relating to Amendment C91, which is a flat overlay. The first one is, my first request is for an explanation and outline in writing of the process that I and the Shire officers would need to undertake to have the C91 overlay removed from my property. Just by means of response, Amendment C91 applied flat mapping to the municipality through the Land Subject to Inundation Overlay, which is the LSIO, and the Special Building Overlay, which is the SBO. Specifically, the amendment partially applied the LSIO to Mr Kelly's property. Amendment C91 has been through a comprehensive and transparent planning process. The amendment was heard by a planning panel during the week of 15 March 2021. Mr Kelly was submitted to the amendment and was party to the hearing. The panel recommended that C91 be implemented on the land in accordance with the post-exhibition changes made to the amendment. This resulted in a reduction to the extent of the LSIO on Mr Kelly's property. A planning scheme amendment would be required to remove the LSIO from the property and would require the support from Council and a sufficient strategic justification to support the process. The views of Melbourne Water would be sought, public exhibition undertaken, and a planning panel may be required. However, it is noted that a previous panel, Council and Melbourne Water, supported the application of the LSIO to the land. The process would be undertaken at a cost of the proponent.
Thank you, Mr Bessenhout. So that advice will be forwarded through to Mr Jeffrey. Mr Kelly, sorry. The second question is actually directed to Mr Jeffrey. Mr Jeffrey, please.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. So the second request is that You assist me in arranging a consultation with Mr Jeffrey and a viewing of the detailed plans as above. As above actually relates to the Bland depot. And then the response is that my office will contact Mr Kelly to facilitate a discussion, and we'll do that tomorrow, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Jeffrey. Thank you for that. And your office will contact Mr Kelly. Thank you. That ends public questions. Are there any questions relating to those particular points, councillors, with those questions raised by? Thank you. Next item is petitions, of which we have one. 9.1, Save Rotary Park, Keep It Clean. There is a recommendation there. Councillor Berry, you moving the recommendation?
Yes,
Okay, is there a seconder for that, please? Councillor Ward. Any debate? I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Presentations and deputations, nil. Moving on to items 11. 11.1, Audit and Risk Committee Independent Chair for report. There is a recommendation there, councillors. Move Councillor Dudzik. Is there a seconder? Councillor Berry. Any dissent? I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. The next item is 11.2, Adoption in Principle of the 2021 Performance Statement for submission to the Victorian Auditor General for certification. Again, there's a recommendation on page 13, councillors. Councillor Dudzik, you moving that? A question, Councillor Ward?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. If I may, I have a couple of questions and a couple of comments. In reading the report, and I thought it was a very comprehensive report, and I commend council staff in putting it together. The questions I have I read in the report that expenses per head of population in Moorabool was $18.32. I'm just after, I like benchmark, I'm just after an indication, and I understand it will take time to get that, how that compares to the state average of like councils, Mr Mayor.
You want to take that on?
Yes, please.
Take it on notice?
Yes.
Is that all right, Mr CEO? Yes. Thank you. Your next question, please.
And the second question is, percentage of staff turnover was 10.2% in 2019, and obviously a low staff turnover indication of a healthy and productive staff. COVID years were difficult, but obviously the figures in 2022 was 33.3%, which was impacted by the aged care service staff leaving. I was wondering if, and the question can be taken on notice, what percentage is attributable to the aged care staff leaving? So if that's removed, what the true figure may be, please.
Okay. Mr CEO?
Yeah, through the chair, I'm happy to give that number. It's basically the turnover number excluding that is just over 15%.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
The last two comments were I commend council and council staff in their financial planning. The reduction of debt from 50.9% as a comparison of rates to 29.36% is fantastic in a very difficult financial environment. And I also want to commend the council staff in their performance statement submitted to the state government. The government's and management checklist outlined 24 requirements. It was very onerous and time consuming, but the submission was submitted, and it was well put together, and great job.
Thank you, Councillor. Do you wish to second the motion while you've... That's the case. Okay. Move Councillor Dudzik, seconded Councillor Ward. Is there any dissent? I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Next item of business is item 11.3, 2021-22 Governance Management Checklist. There is a recommendation in the middle of page 16. Any questions, councillors? Somebody wish to move that? Councillor Edwards, seconded Councillor Berry. Any dissent? I'll put that. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Next item is item 11.4, proposed discontinuance of a portion of Government Road, Harwich Road, Navigators. This is to start that process. It's not to say that council is closing a road. It's only a process we have to go to and invite a submission. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Council, there's a recommendation at the bottom of page 18. Move Councillor Edwards. Is there a seconder for that, please? Councillor Ward, any dissent? I'll put that. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Next item of business 11.5, proposed discontinuance of a Government Road, Settlement Road, Elaine. Again, this is similar to the last matter where it's just sort of going out to public comment, and that will duly come back to council. So that I recommend. Move Councillor Edwards. Thank you. As a seconder for that. Councillor Tatchell. Any dissent? I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Item 11.6, Audit and Risk Committee Charter Update. Again, there is a recommendation at the bottom of page 25, councillors, in your hands. Councillor Dudzik, you moving that?
Yep.
Councillor Berry, seconding that? Thank you. Any dissent or questions? I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Item 11.7, Flag Flying Policy. We have a speaker to this matter, Dr. Sean Mulcahy. I don't know whether Dr. Mulcahy is in here. Okay, if you could please come up, Dr. Mulcahy. Thank you. Yeah, oh, you do it. Just press the button.
There you go.
Thank you, councillors and Mayor Sullivan, for the opportunity to speak to you tonight in support of the flag flying policy. My name is Dr. Sean Mulcahy. I'm a policy advisor and campaigner with the Victorian Pride Lobby's Rainbow Local Government campaign. I live just over the border in Ballarat and have been working with the community here in Moorabool in their campaign to fly the rainbow flag across the Shire. What struck me from my time working with the community here in this campaign is that this is an incredibly diverse and welcoming community. From the lovely folk who hosted a petition at the local op shop to the wonderful allies who took the time to print out rainbow stickers and posters and pop them in shops in Balan and Bacchus Marsh and Gordon and other towns across the Shire. What we've seen is wonderful signs of support from across the community, and now we ask Council to show their support likewise. We always said and we always knew that the community would support flying the rainbow flag if the policy was put out for consultation. And as you can see from the consultation report in the agenda, there is overwhelming support for flying the rainbow flag. We want to thank you for taking the time to hear from the community on this important matter, and now we ask that you listen to the community and support the flying of the rainbow flag. I also want to thank council officers for all of their work in getting the policy here, and I'm happy to answer any questions of clarification that you might have.
Thank you, Dr. Mulcahy. Councillors, any questions of Dr. Mulcahy? Councillor Ward, please.
Mr Mayor, it's not so much a question, Sean, but I just wanted to say I had the pleasure of hearing you present last year on Ida Hobbit Day, and it was a fantastic presentation, and just want to commend you on the work you're doing.
Any other comments or questions, councillors? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mulcahy. If you could just resume your seat, Council will now duly deal with the matter at hand. Thank you. Councillors?
I move the recommendation.
Move Councillor Dudzik, seconder. Councillor Berry. Councillors, I would seek leave to speak, and given that Councillor Dudzik is a mover,
I'll nominate Councillor Ward to take the chair.
Council will have to do that. So nominate. So Council okay with that? Okay, Council. Well, if you stay there, it might be easy. Is that all right? Is that all right? Thank you.
Okay, we have a speaker for it, and I invite Councillor Dudzik to speak in favour of the recommendation, please.
The council flag flying policy has been something that we haven't had over the years, and it's time that we actually did adopt one. We're following what is considered as standard across many local government areas. We're respecting all parts of the community, and I think it's great that we're getting it in place, and it's important that we recognise all facets of the community, and it's good that a new change as part of this policy will include the rainbow flag.
Thank you, Councillor Dudzik. Councillor Berry, you seconded the motion. Would you like to speak in favour of it?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd just like to say this process has been in place since the OMC on the 3rd of February 2021, and I consider that we do need a flag flying policy, and it's clear that this one has gone to public consultation on Have Your Say platform, and it was out there from the 8th of September to the 27th. There was broad support for the policy from the public, so I think enough time has been spent and consider that we do need a flag policy.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. Councillor Sullivan, my apologies, invite you to speak also.
Thank you, Chair. Councillors, Moorabool doesn't have a flag policy and does need a flag flying policy. But the draft policy that we have here tonight goes beyond the codification of the current arrangement that Moorabool Shire has. Currently, Moorabool has 4 flagpoles in Darley and 3 at Balan. Currently, 4 flags are flown in Moorabool: the Australian flag, the Victorian state flag, the Australian Aboriginal flag, and the Moorabool Shire pennant is flown at Darley. There's a total of 4 flags flown in the Moorabool sites across the Shire, yet the flag policy includes a flag that is not currently part of that part of our process. By default, it seeks to include the policy by default seeks to include a flag by stealth rather than go through the process of admission of a new flag, also spelled out in the policy itself. In my view, it backdoors it in rather than goes through the process that the draft policy espouses. I feel also that the abandonment of normal process has been brushed aside in the undue haste to bring this to this meeting here tonight. This item did not form part of the usual review of the council meeting agenda, which is reviewed some weeks before the council meeting. It wasn't on that agenda. Although it will be argued by others that the petition came to the Moorabool Shire in August last for the flying of the rainbow flag, did not precipitate this hurried flag policy. I feel the opposite is the case. I do not believe in coincidences. To say that this petition of last August had no influence on the acceleration of this flag policy, I would suggest would not pass the pub test. I note the draft policy was put out on the council, have you a say, for a 21-day period for the information provided on the basis of the business paper tonight. Only 6 respondents, as I read, appear to reside in Moorabool Shire, 6 out of 36,000. I tried it on the very low percentage. I looked at the calculator, but it actually went to couldn't get a number of points on it. There are also those who will say that more people could have been involved and responded. I agree. I would venture to say the majority of people in Moorabool are more concerned about their mortgages, their rates, their kids and the cost of living and everything else associated with it, the bread and butter of their issues, that are too busy living to make ends meet. I believe in attempting to address the inclusion of a flag in this draft policy that Council does not currently fly is an attempt to circumvent the matters raised in the August petition. Council has in fact, I believe, compromised its own policy. By what has happened to date, the threshold for addition of an additional flag is very low. You just need a petition with a limited number of signatures, a lesser number of residents in My Say portal. The draft policy should initially set out the current position it is. Once adopted, any admission of a flag should go through the process set out in the draft policy. And even in that aspect, it's very weak. It just says the Mayor and the CEO. It doesn't give any guidance to the Mayor and the CEO what that criteria may be in assessing or admitting a flag. We have a very diverse municipality. A lot of people come from different backgrounds. I mean, we may end up with more flags than the United Nations out in New York if we keep going this way, by saying with such a low threshold to have a flag flown. I also believe in the haste to circumvent the matter of the August petition, we will deliver a very poor outcome. Adoption of the draft policy in its current form will create a rod for our own backs going forward. If the recommendation is lost, I would move that the matter be deferred to come back to an Assembly of Council, which is the established processes that we adopt at Moorabool Shire. Councillors, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Councillor Dudzik, you moved the original recommendation. I would invite you to have the closing say.
The draft policy has been out for public consultation, and the feedback received from that consultation is that it was supported. There was great support for flying the rainbow flag, and In response to the comments by the Mayor, I was actually disappointed how slow it took for this policy to come back to Council. I think it's something that should have been done a little bit more quickly so that the issue could be resolved. I'm in contact with members of the Rainbow community. A number of them did ask me if we could fly the rainbow flag when I was running in the election. And a member of the Rainbow community was actually in my car when we drove past another council that flies the rainbow flag. And they said, look, I'm welcome here. And that's what I say to everyone, regardless of who you care about, you're welcome. And that's what Wirral's about. And it would give me the great honour to fly the rainbow flag, and I think that we should. It's the right thing to do.
Thank you, Councillor Dudzik. So we have a recommendation, and that recommendation has been moved and seconded. We've had speakers for and against the recommendation. I now invite Councillor Dudzik to put it to a vote. All those in favour? Motion is carried.
My vote recorded, please. Absolutely.
Let the minutes show that Councillor Sullivan voted against the motion.
Now, councillors, thank you for that. Oh, sorry, councillor.
Could I have noted, Mr Mayor, that none of the other councillors were invited to speak or ask a question?
Oh, okay, that's true.
Thank you.
Okay, well, sorry about that. Moving along, councillors, item 12.1, parking strategy policy. Councillor Ward, I understand that you may have some slight variation to that. Do you wish to perhaps move the motion and add to advise council what those changes are? I think they've been circulated anyway, but just to do it, please.
It was a slight change. Thank you, Mr Mayor. It was a slight change. I'm certainly happy to move the parking strategy and policy to go out to public comment. There was a slight change I wanted to, in the alternate motion, to attachment 2.11, just to the wording, that would invite a minimum period of 4 weeks for enforcement and awareness campaign, and provided more surety in how that awareness campaign would be promoted to the residents.
Councillors understand what's been said?
Second.
Any questions, councillor, before we... Okay, moved Councillor Ward with those amendments to the document, or the policy rather, going out, and seconded Councillor Dudzik. Any comments or objections? I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Item 13.1. 2022 customer satisfaction survey results. There's a recommendation there, and also there was a very fulsome attachments to this document. Councillors, in your hands. Move, Councillor Ward.
I've actually got a question. Yep, thank you. I note Mirrable's performance has been benchmarked against the rest of the state and against like-sized councils. I suppose I read with some interest that despite the record infrastructure spend, and I know, if I can just reel off a couple of those, in East Mirrable there's 1,000 Steps, Aqualink, East Mattingley Early Hub, Racecourse Reserve and Stadium, Balan, we've got the Rec Reserve and the Library in Mill Park, there has been concern about the recreation facility expressed, and there was low support for that in the customer satisfaction survey. I also note that the low rating of 40 for roads. So I just wanted to stress, Mr Mayor, that I would encourage council to consider a renewed focus and looking at increasing the resources we can put towards the road improvement, because the message from the ratepayers in Mirrable is loud and clear that more needs to be done on our sealed roads and maintenances and our footpaths and walking tracks. Thank you.
Are you moving the recommendation?
Yes, please.
Okay, second. Councillor Tatchell. Any dissent? I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Next item is item 14.1, petition installation of speed humps at Marindi Way, Darley. So in fact, this is actually a response to a petition that had come in earlier with a recommendation noting there does not appear to be support for the installation of speed humps along Marindi Way. So councillor's recommendation.
So moved, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Edwards, a seconder, please. Seconder, Councillor Ward. Any dissent? I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Next item of, we're into other business. So I'll go around the table. I'll go from my left. I'll go clockwise around the table. Councillor Ward, any reports?
No, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Tatchell?
Yeah. Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just a quick one. Obviously, it's known that I'm running in the state election for the Liberal Party, and we know that the rules have changed in terms of how councillors approach that or when they stand down. From our perspective, based on we still have a lot of stuff to do between now and November, I'll withdraw my council allowance from nomination time, okay. But I'd like to continue on as a councillor in my ward so that my ward is represented during that period. Okay, thank you, Councillor. It's important to have all hands on deck as we go forward, so thank you for that. Councillor Berry, any reports, please?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Dudzik, any reports?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Edwards, any reports, please?
No, Mr Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Moving, any notices of rescission? Oh, I actually jumped the thing. No notice of rescission. No notice of motion. I've actually gone out of order here, councillors, but that's fine. We'll get to the Mayor's report, which has been circulated to all and sundry. If I may, there's just one thing I'd like to highlight was after the last Development Assessment Committee, I was able to go down to the Lau Memorial Photography Group presentations at Lau, and it is a fantastic community event, and I know Councillor Tatchell has been there in the past, but it's a great event, and to see the growth in that particular group and the impact they're having through that community and also through the school is incredible. So I'd just like to note that as well, Councillor. So, Mayor's report, somebody move that be received, please. Councillor Tatchell seconded. Councillor Berry, all those in favour? Carried, thank you. I did jump around, Councillor. We've already done the Councillor's report, so we'll just sort of go on now to urgent business. So I'll start on my left again. Councillor Ward, please.
No, Mr Mayor, thank you.
Tatchell, please.
Mate, just on road issues based on the inclement weather, if I may, Mr Mayor.
Certainly.
Do you want me to give a preamble or a...
Yeah, that's fine, yes.
Well, basically, I'll be just taking a report. We are getting an extraordinary weather pattern at the moment, and it's obviously paying a price. We're in our third year of probably well above average rainfall, and we haven't had a chance to repair roads, which has made it very difficult. And some of the roads, because we haven't been able to get on them, are starting to wash away. So the report I'll be looking for, Mr Mayor, should this urgent business be allowed, to see that if we need to alter the budget to get into some remediation of some of these roads once we find a break in the traffic in terms of our ability to get on them, because I don't think any of us expected to be getting this sort of rain on top of rain. And I think we probably need a report back just to say, well, do we need to extend that budget on the road network? And probably as soon as possible, if we may, Mr Mayor, because I think come, probably November, we're going to be in dire straits in terms of some of the roads are basically not drivable now. So,
okay, thank you for that. I'm just clarification. We haven't got all councils. Can we actually deal with an urgent business, or just simple majority or absolute? Simple. Sorry, Councillor, would you? Okay. Well, do you want to actually move your motion? Yeah.
Well, if I can move a motion to get a report back on what we may have to do or what adjustments we may need to make in the budget because of the extraordinary circumstances.
So councillors will accept this. Everyone's okay to accept that. So now we can put that. So you've heard the motion from Councillor Tatchell, seconded by Councillor Rivers. So I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. I do note, Councillor Tatchell, in the Weekly Times today that the state government has reduced, I think it's about 20 million or 20 billion less in the last 12 months, which in maintenance maintenance programs on state roads, which is noticeable. Anyway.
Mr Mayor, I also note that today there was an announcement of $10 billion that got overshadowed by a football CEO, resigning. I mean, I'm just starting to wonder if Spring Street actually understands what's going on out in the regions and how bad our roads are.
Thank you, Councillor Tatchell. Councillor Berry, any urgent business, please?
No urgent business, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Dudzik, any urgent business?
No urgent business.
Councillor Edwards, any urgent business, please?
Business, but we've got our very
yes.
documents that have come out today the council has produced, which I think is pretty impressive.
Indeed.
Just a question, how do we propose to get
Mr. CEO, to respond to that.
Through the chair, yes. So that will be sent to all the ministers and all of the local politicians at state and federal level. In addition to that, we do have an event coming up in October with the community, which will be, I just can't remember the exact date, but it's toward the end of November, and we will be distributing at that event to the members of the community as well.
Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate Council on the work they've put this together. It's actually very simple but very accurate and detailed.
And very professional too, might I say, Councillor. Thank you. Thank you for that update. Now, we've just got to have a closed session. So if everyone's okay, I might just have a 5-minute adjournment while the people in the gallery have an opportunity to vacate. And we'll resume in, beautiful, 6:35. Thank you.